Well, we shouldn't ignore everything that's happening over in the Middle East right now. It is a mess. It's ramping up, I think, but I never know what to believe. Remember last time Iran said they were going to go kill all the Jews or whatever they said. They're always saying things like that. They fired a couple missiles, didn't really hurt anybody. A couple people got injured, if I remember right, and then they just kind of moved on. Is this going to be that? I don't know, but I bet Lisa does. Joining me now, editor-in-chief of the Foreign Desk, Lisa Daftari. Okay, Lisa, first, we had some rockets, Iranian rockets, land in an American base in Iraq. A few people injured, possibly someone killed. But this is not new. This is what they do. Are we seeing anything new?
No, this is not new. This is the Islamic Republic, a terrorist regime that has occupied Iran for 45 years and has taken that time to beef up its proxies, to do its dirty work in the region. And some American administrations have paid attention to this and some haven't. The one that is currently in the White House has not. Not only have they not paid attention to it, they have actually emboldened them and given them up to $100 billion in terms of allowing them to make oil sales and taking off important sanctions, not wanting to curb them. Everything we're seeing in terms of the war in Israel, whether it's Hamas attacking Israel on October 7th, the tunnel systems that they have built, looking at the weapons that Hamas has. Now, let's go to the north in Lebanon, where you have Hezbollah, with it being a more well-endowed terror organization with up to 50,000 fighters, up to 150,000 missiles, short, medium, long-range missiles, drones, etc., all paid for by the Islamic Republic, the regime inside Iran. Where did they get that money? Well, at the last 4 years or so, the Biden administration has been extremely lax. They have removed vital sanctions from them. They have allowed them to sell oil to partners like China, Venezuela, weapons to Russia, to North Korea, and therefore we are where we're at because of that. Now, add to that, it's not just Israel that they're attacking. This is America's war as well. The Houthis are shooting down at U.S. vessels, European vessels in the Red Sea. They are attacking with their insurgencies in Syria and Iraq against U.S. assets, as we saw as the Iraqi base was attacked. All of this. I mean, we could go on and on about this, but the bottom line that American voters should know is this: foreign policy has never mattered so much in a U.S. election. This is, and I'm writing an op-ed about this that will probably go live tomorrow. This is not an election on specific policies. This is an election on ideology. Where do you want this country to go? And it's not just foreign policy. We can talk about national security, our border. There are Hezbollah, Hamas, Taliban, Islamic Republic regime operatives inside the country right now because of that lax border. It's not just well-intentioned people from Honduras and Guatemala and other places coming here for a better life. Good for them. They should come the legal way and come here, and we will welcome them. The issue is this: the bad guys will always find the loopholes, and our government is not only giving them the loopholes, our policy invites a lot of our enemies to take advantage of what's going on right now in the White House.
Lisa, could you explain as best you can, because it gets confusing for everyone, myself included, why in the world the Biden administration, honestly, and the Obama administration before them, why they are so kind to a country that has declared themselves over and over again to be our enemy. It's not like Iran, to their credit, it's not like they're shy about it. They're not doing it behind our back. They hate us. They admit they hate us. So why be kind to them?
Right. It's the $100 billion question, right? The amount of oil that the Islamic Republic is selling. It truly is the question. Look, before Obama became President Obama, he campaigned on normalizing relations with the Islamic Republic. Before Biden came into the White House, he said, forget the deal that Trump ripped up in May of 2018. I will get right back into that Iran nuclear deal. Why? Why, without contingency, would you announce to our enemies that we want to make nice with them and that they have the upper hand in negotiating that deal? It never worked out because their requests were so egregious that even this White House couldn't agree to that. But they wanted it. This Biden White House wanted another Islamic Republic nuclear deal to be the crown jewel of their foreign policy, just like President Obama felt that that was the crown jewel of his foreign policy. There are a few reasons that I can point to. Look, this philosophy, ideology, whatever you want to call it. It started actually with President Carter. He's the one who ushered in the Islamic Republic. If you talk to any Iranians who are upset about this revolution happening in Iran, upset about the Shah being toppled and this government coming in, they will equate their grievances with President Carter really having a hand in the toppling of the Shah. And of course, it's very nuanced. There's a million other factors here, but we all have to agree that the posturing of the American president or the White House has a lot to do with how the dominoes fall all around the world. That is why it's so important to look at President Carter's role in ushering the Islamic Republic into office in 1979, and then looking at President Obama and why he was so kind to the Islamic Republic and allowed them, by signing a meaningless piece of paper in the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal, how they got so much money and were able to, again, continue on with their weapons program, despite the fact that they were, in this contract. What does that paper really mean to them? What does that contract really mean to them? We're dealing with a terrorist regime that where diplomacy means nothing. Now, these three Democrats who I mentioned, they want to use diplomacy to normalize relations with a regime that cannot be trusted. And that is exactly why, love him or hate him, for the 4 years when Trump was in office, he enforced a maximum pressure campaign against Iran's regime, where there were meaningful sanctions, where we pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal. We, marginalized them to the best of our ability for them not to be involved in the global economy, et cetera. And it worked. You saw all around Lebanon, for example, there were charity boxes for Hezbollah. They were trying to collect money in charity boxes in supermarkets. Now, juxtapose that with the saber rattling that Hezbollah is doing right now. It feels rich. It feels well endowed. It has the missiles. It has the weapons. It has become emboldened, again, by the head of the snake, Iran's regime, giving them all these weapons, giving them the training, and then setting them on their way to attack Israel. So that is why we are at where we're at.
Okay, Lisa, could you explain to me what you think, I realize I'm asking you to make predictions, what you think Iran's response to Israel is going to be? It's been a few days now. We were all waiting. Israel comes out. They assassinate a few people. They blow up some Hamas guy in Tehran, which was sick, by the way. And we were all expecting, the missiles to start raining down. And, it's been a bunch of threats, but nothing has happened. Is something going to happen? What do you expect to happen?
Something has to happen because for the Islamic Republic, that they're stuck in this position. And a lot of people don't agree with me, but I have spoken to two very high officials within Israeli intelligence in the last couple of days, and they do agree with me. So I feel comfortable saying this is my prediction. This is not fact, and this is just my feeling, is that Iran's regime does not want to involve itself in a large-scale war. That is why for 45 years they have supported these proxies to do the dirty work for them. Iran's regime at the same time, they're not suicidal, but they have this ego. They have this, reputation to uphold. That's just who they are. But again, they're not suicidal. So this puts them in a position of, we have to talk big, but not go big in terms of escalation. So what I think will potentially happen is they're not going to leave this unanswered. That's for sure. They have to answer this. But they, again, don't want it to escalate to the point. And they do know that Israel's ready. Israel's ready to pounce because they have to. This is an existential threat for Israel, and they have been fighting multiple fronts already. This is yet another front. This is the main front, which is coming from, again, the Islamic Republic. So what I believe will happen is something similar to what we saw in April with some sort of retaliation. Now, whether it comes from Iran proper or if it comes from the Hezbollah, I believe it may come from Hezbollah this time around. It will hurt more because they have, again, Israel's technology or military defense systems may not be able to block every single shot. They will block a lot of it. Again, this is a little side note to the lawmakers who don't support the Iron Dome and other measures in Congress. It's for all of us to defend again Israel against its enemies who want it off the map. The Islamic Republic will find a way to retaliate, but will also try for this retaliation not to escalate more than it has to. Again, I want to go back to October 7th. Hamas attacked. Hezbollah could have attacked simultaneously, really spreading Israel thin in terms of its defense, and they didn't. What they're doing is trying this tactic of really trying to spread Israel thin in terms of fatiguing them and making this a longer war than it has to be. And Israel has two goals it always has from day one, and that is to get the hostages back. It's been over 300 days, by the way. And number two, to decimate Hamas to the point where they are not a functioning terror organization and an existential threat to Israel, hovering over Israel. So to that end, they have not gotten all the hostages back. Many of them have been killed, and they haven't been able to come to an agreement. So, crazy times. I know the people who were on the streets of the United States and Europe yelling ceasefire, ceasefire are no longer yelling ceasefire because they know it's in Hamas's hands. There will not be a ceasefire because of Hamas, are now just saying, death to Israel and, death to Zionists, and the Jews must be killed wherever in the world that they are. All the masks are off, not literally because they still wear masks because they are cowards, and they come onto the streets and onto the university campuses and do say all these things while burning American flags at the same time. So again, brings me back to my initial point. This is very ideologically driven, whether it's in the United States or in the Middle East. And really, there's two sides to it. Either you're with the terrorists or you're against them. So choose wisely.
Lisa, thank you, ma'am, as always. All right. We have Light in the Mood next.